Hello and good morning. It's another bright day that the Lord has blessed us. And as I promised, today I'm going to be speaking about the effects of mental health problems. And before I go to the effects of mental health problems, I'm going to speak about the causes or the common causes of mental health disorders. And the very first one that I'm going to state to speak about is comorbidity. And just to explain for the sake of those who don't understand what comorbidity is, this is the occurrence or in a person of two or more disorders. And so you find that when someone is suffering from two or more disorders, that aside from the mental health problems, it exposes them to the risk of developing the mental health problems. The other thing I'm going to speak about is cumulative stigmatization, which results from exposure to violence at family, social, institution, and even at national level. So people who are under conflicts or violences, especially those who have been exposed to domestic violence and even wars and wars at national levels. There are those who have been exposed to bullying, even religious bullying. I know this is something that is rarely ever talked about, but it happens. So when someone is exposed to such kinds of harassments, you find that it's very likely for them to develop mental health problems. The other thing I'm going to speak about is poverty. I may not really go deep into explaining that because we know the pressure that comes with poverty and how it exposes someone to just develop the mental health problems, especially stress, acute stress, and even depression. The other cause is unemployment. Then there is sexual harassment, human rights violations, work-related stresses, drug and substance misuse. Then there is sorrow, for instance, from loss of a loved one. There is accidents and tragedies. There is social phenomena or happenings. Just maybe I can just touch on these. You find that there are things that happen in the social phenomena, like for instance, just to mention something that is very common when we have relationships or love relationships that are very rampant, especially among the youth, and it results maybe when there is that lack of trust and yeah just to mention, that is very common, especially nowadays, when you find that there is so much mistrust even in marriages, and it results into divorce. There is separation. There are those heartbreaks that come with, especially with broken relationships, and this it exposes the victims to the development of mental health problems. So from here, I'm going to be speaking about the effects of mental health problems. And I'm going to begin by saying this, that mental health problems are relational with stigmatization across the world. Mentally ill or challenged persons often suffer isolation and rejection, especially from peers and family, and as a consequence, they resort to self-withdrawal. There is drug and substance misuse, uh, and in some extreme cases to suicide and self-harm, majorly to try and reduce the pressure, the result in pain, to seek pity or attention, and often at times they do this subconsciously. So you find that most of the things that people who are suffering from mental health problems normally do, they don't do them knowingly. You may even find someone just crying and they don't even realize that they are crying, unless someone just comes and asks them why they are crying. They may never even realize what they are doing. So there are those things that they normally do to just seek attention because they feel isolated, they feel rejected, and they desire that love and togetherness and just being among other people and just feeling accommodated. And so there are things that they are going to do, just maybe to try and attract the attention of people towards them, or to just help like try and attract the attention of people so that they can be able to understand what they are going through. And in extreme cases, when they feel that they can't deal with it anymore, they often resort to just take away their lives so that they can end the pain they are going through, and that is what we call suicide. Or sometimes maybe for those who cannot be able to bear suicide, they will harm themselves. You find that there are those who even just cut themselves, they just injure themselves even with sharp objects so that they can just try and really on, like how do I mention this? There's so much pressure within them within themselves, and they're just trying to let it come out. And when they are doing this, they have so much energy within themselves, and they're trying to just bring out that energy from them. They may just harm themselves, and often at times you find that, I don't know, yeah, maybe you have heard of people who have caused accidents, and when you try to even just interrogate these people and try to understand why they did that, you find that they do not even themselves understand. I can give an example of someone who just murdered a friend, someone who was very close to them, without anything having happened between them. And when he was questioned, he could not even understand why he did it. He was just seated there, like his mind was just blocked. He could not even explain what happened. And just as I mentioned, that to say that, they normally do it subconsciously. They don't even understand what they are doing. It's until the results of what they have done comes out, that is when now they realize that they did a mistake. But when they are doing it, they may not even realize this. And I'm going to just state this and say that stigma is of two faces. The first type of stigma is social stigma, and this is stigma or prejudiced attitudes subjected to a victim by others. Those are the beliefs and attitudes that are normally subjected by maybe the society, family, friends, and even just other people. The attitudes and the prejudices that they normally subject towards people with mental health problems. Then there is perceived stigma or internalized stigma, and this is the kind that the person with mental illness suffers or experiences. That is the feeling or belief that others have negative beliefs about people with mental illness. So those are the beliefs and attitudes that these people normally internalize within themselves, and they just feel different, and they feel that other people normally see them different. There are other types of stigmas related to mental health problems. These include self-stigma. There is label avoidance. This for the people who have mental problems, just trying to like they know that they have that mental health problem, and they are trying to just avoid that label of being known that they have mental health problems, and so they will be doing so much, trying every way possible to just avoid that label. Then there is also stigma by association. That is for people who are associated with people who have mental health problems. They also have that. They also feel the effect of the society and friends just isolating, or maybe having those negative attitudes towards them, just because they have someone in their family or in their neighborhood or in their society, or in someone who is related to them, a friend, a close relative who has a mental health problem, and so they normally have experience that effect. Then there is also structural stigma, and there is also health practitioner stigma. This is especially for, and maybe just a call to the health practitioners to be, because we know that there are those beliefs and the attitudes and even the things they normally say to people who have mental health problems, and they just make them feel even worse than they felt even as they were coming to seek the mental to seek assistance from these health practitioners. And just this is just a call to the health practitioners to really be keen and be very sensitive to about the things they normally speak towards people who have mental health problems, because these people are very sensitive, and they normally internalize every word that is spoken and towards them. And when they feel that they cannot even be able to get the help that they need from the health practitioners, they resort to just keeping their problems to themselves, and instead of seeking the help that they can get from the health institutions. And this is why you find often that people with mental health problems will rarely ever seek help from the health facilities. Okay, now you realize that I've been using the word stigma, and maybe there are people who do not understand what stigma means, and I'm just going to state briefly, or to explain briefly, in reference to the Oxford Dictionary, the meaning of stigma. And it says that stigma refers to the negative feelings that people have about particular circumstances or characteristics that somebody may have. So you find there are those negative feelings or negative beliefs that other people have, or those things that they believe and they have developed within themselves to just know, and they subject towards people who have those characteristics, or people who are under certain circumstances. So in reference to mental health problems, we can say that stigma refers to negative feelings that people have about people with mental health problems, their characteristics, and the circumstances that they are under. And so briefly, I'm going to just mention about the effects of mental health problems, and just to make a point and say that you will find that most of or many of the causes of mental problems can also translate to be the implications thereof. So we have mentioned about the causes of mental health problems, and in another way, you realize that when we are speaking about the effects of mental health problems, the causes can also translate to be the implications of mental health problem. And just to state them, the first thing is that there is reduced productivity at work. That is, people who have mental health problems, you find that their productivity, or just their efficiency and effectiveness at work, is reduced. Then there is poor social relations. These people find it very hard to just be able to relate with others. The other thing is that there is reduced access to job market and job retentions, because these people can hardly even be able to just work effectively. It becomes hard for them to even just maybe maintain one job, because they get a job someplace in a place, but because of their poor performance, they are just released, or they are fired very easily, because they cannot be able to render the kind of service or expectations that their employers normally have towards them. The other thing is that there is poor intellectual, mental, and physical development. This is very evident with the people we have seen who have mental health problems. You find that they can, even at school, they perform very poorly. When someone develops that mental health problem, they just start dropping in their grades, and even their mentally, you find that they just seem they just seem disturbed every time, and they cannot even be able to make sound judgments, or sound decisions. And even their physical development, these people have retarded growth as a result of the mental health problems that they normally experience. Then there is also stigmatization and violation of human rights. Much as we can say that these people normally are okay, their rights are violated, you find that even themselves, they normally violate the rights of other people, because they feel isolated, and they want to release the stress that is within themselves. They may do some things that violate the rights of other people. We have also behavioral problems. This is very common. They don't behave like other people. Then there is poor adherence to medical treatment or recommendations, especially for patients with comorbid depression. We say that comorbidity is the occurrence of two or more illnesses in a person. You find that people who have mental health problems, they have a problem responding to the recommendations that they get from the health practitioners, and even the medical treatment. These people will hardly ever adhere to even just taking their doses, and just adhering to even the counsel and things they have been told to do by the health practitioners. They find it very hard to just adhere to them. Then there is withdrawal, depression, and poor feeding habits. We know this is very common. We also have the family burden. Yeah, to just say the truth, these people become a burden to the people they are related with, or to the caregivers, and they are just very hard to handle. And that is why you find that people with mental health problems, you find that even when things just don't work well for them at home, they resort to just go into the streets and just survive on their own, because they feel they are a burden to the people that take care of them, and they just decide, like, instead of being a burden to other people, they would rather just go into the streets and just have to survive on their own. And then the second last thing, there is suicide there is violence and self-harm. We have spoken about that. And the very last thing I'm going to speak about is drug and substance abuse and misuse. When these people cannot be able to deal with the pressure that they are experiencing, they will look for alternative ways to just be able to get rid of the pain and the pressure they are experiencing. And that is why they resort to drugs and substance abuse and misuse. We also mentioned that we are going to speak about the implications of mental health on the economy. And just to state briefly, I can say that the effects on personal income, and that is the ability of the person with mental disorders or their caregivers to work and make productive contribution to the national economy. There is also the utilization of treatment and support services. So as I had mentioned, you find that these people have a problem just utilizing the facilities that are there for them to give them the help that they require to be able to heal or to just manage the problems they are experiencing. It becomes hard for them when they have those, when they feel that they cannot get the enough help or assistance from the health practitioners. They would resolve, they just resolve to just avoid that. And we have also said that because they cannot be able to work efficiently, so they lose their jobs. And even when they have those maybe even for people who are self-employed, when their businesses just start dropping because they cannot be able to handle them anymore, they lose the income that they were having, and their economic life just goes down. We have also said that those can also be at a national level. It can also have that effect when you find that maybe these people who have experience and they have potential to just make the to lift or to boost the economy of the nation. When there are so many people dropping out of work at the job market because of mental health problems, it becomes a problem at a national level. And there is quite a lot of economic implications or losses at a national level, the society, and even the community at large. And so guys, I'm not going to speak much more. I realize that I've not exhausted everything on the economic implications. And so on the next video that I'm going to post, I'll be going deeper into explaining the economic implications of mental health. I realize that this is quite a broad topic that needs to be spoken about in a deeper way. And so I'm going to do it as a separate video. Then in that I can be able maybe to have just ample time to be able to explain and to let you know and understand what the implications of mental health problems on the economy, on the individual, the family, and even at the national level. So guys, that is it for today. I hope you have learned something, and you will also be anxious to just maybe see the next video so that we can be able to understand what the implications of mental health problems are at in terms of economy, as much as we speak about the person, the society, and the nation at large. So thank you so much for listening. I kindly request you to subscribe, to comment in my videos, to share, and just let other people get this information. And thank you so much. Until next time, bye.